Bees Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again, joined by Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, and we believe the stylings of P Kid.
Am I here?
Hey, all right.
Reason that we were late yet again, but that's all good, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to show love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Mike Nice, I see you with the jokes, brother. You calm down. Ken Burke, you as well. Got a lot to get into on today's episode, man. A lot to talk about because we got to hear from the GM. We got to hear from the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And listen, I think we learned a little bit about kind of where their focuses lie in this offseason. Also, a fairly, I don't know if I could say, I say it's a report. A report. I think I saw it first from Harrison Graham. Harrison does great work here, and I've seen it from Ben Devine, a few other people on Twitter. Apparently, we're having running back meetings. So, we got to talk about all that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do.
Come on. Hey. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit the like button, subscribe to the page. Push the button. Push the like button, man. Hit that subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well so that you guys get notified every single time we go live. Boys, what's going on? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Hey, Pat.
What's up?
Oh, man. What is it? Smooth jazz, PK?
Welcome to the Smooth Jazz WNUA.
WNUA 95 point. See, this is what happened, JC. You don't understand. See, JC, you haven't started upgrading the studio yet, right? This is what happens when you add a random LED light in the background.
I see. I was just about to say he got the.
Yeah. That's all this is, bro. That's all this is. This hey, he changed nothing else about the studio. Added a single LED light stick into the middle of the room, right behind the head.
I actually got another one over here, but it was too much blue. I was like, nah, I look like a Smurf. Can't do that. So
he's feeling the aura right now. That's all it is. We can cue the aura music right now.
But
you know what the joke was, Pat? It's how much is that running back worth? 10th overall. That's what he's worth.
Right for me. And hey, if we're lucky, he'll be drafted by the Panthers. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at right now. If we're lucky, he'll be drafted before he even gets to us. Let's start off with this, though. We got an opportunity to hear from Ben Johnson, from Ryan Poles, and I want to talk about some of the takeaways that I think that we heard today. I mean, listen, these guys, of course, you know they're going to be well prepared. They're going to be media trained. They had a clear, concise message of clarity. Clarity was the theme today, and having a clear message coming in together. We all have the same philosophy. We know how this goes. We've been through head coach and GM speak enough here. But one thing that I do think that I enjoy hearing the clarity on was between Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles when it comes to the personnel. And I thought Ryan Poles very clear and concise on what Ben Johnson brings to the room, talking about his ability to give a really clear vision of what he wants and needs to be successful. He's been really, really good. And you can just tell the high football IQ is on a totally different level than what I've seen before and been a part of before. So it's really good. Basically a backhand to Matt Eberflus. That was crazy. But again, you hear Ben Johnson say this as well. We're very clearly outlined what the ideal look would be in terms of players we want on the team. That is why I care about this conversation. That is why I care about hearing these guys at the combine, because it seems like, right, in the big conversation that I'm sure we'll end up having here and that we're going to be having for a while is, are we getting pieces that Ben Johnson wants? Mm-hmm. Or are we getting guys that Ryan Poles is looking to add that he thinks fit? And there has to be that collaborative relationship, right? But we've seen some of the Poles pieces, and I love the fact that he talked about, how he understands how to identify offensive line talent because he played the position, so he knows what to look for. There's room for debate, but But when you heard these the message from them today, at least on the personnel side of things, what would you guys take away from what you heard from Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson today, JC?
The clearer the vision, the more aggressive you want to be. That was the biggest thing I heard from Ryan Poles that kind of stood out to me, is that clearly, yeah, they're going to be kumbaya. Obviously, the GM and the head coach are going to look like they're on the same page. Not to say that they aren't, but of course, we've seen this before. So hopefully it comes to fruition better this time around. But it's all about understanding the type of players they want. He mentioned overlooking the traits and characteristics of the players that will fit into the new system, being aggressive on offense and defense. He mentions even going into the free agency period, if there's someone that's clearly checking all of the boxes, they're going to be aggressive and go out and get that guy. So, of course, there could be a name like a Myles Garrett or whoever may be available. Mm-hmm. We don't know. But I like the fact that, again, they're starting this thing from the ground up. He talked about, making sure that he's on the same page as Ben, in constant communication every single day. And you love to see it. Another little tidbit that I love from him, just as a side note, is the fact that he gave credit to Matt Feinstein, who is now the new VP of football administration. He talked about how he did a good job of healing the cap situation so that they can be more flexible, which is why we're in a position now to go into this year with so much money. Of course, there were a couple of cuts. We already talked about DeMarcus Walker and Gerald Everett. Now, he mentioned it in a way that was nice, I think. He said, you have some players that are in the gray that may not fit in the scheme going forward. Now, of course, I just think that they were both equal $10.5 million. They're like, we want that money back.
Yeah.
So we could easily replace you guys. But my thing is, it was some really good points by Ryan. I do love the fact that they do seem to be on the same page. And again, that clear vision and being aggressive is what stood out to me.
One thing that stood out to me realistically was Ryan Poles was asked very pointedly about one particular player, Braxton Jones in particular, toward the end of that interview, and how that kind of ties into what Ben Johnson said that I thought was interesting is he didn't speak low of him. He spoke highly of Braxton Jones. So it kind of goes to that whole thing that Pat says, that they really like Braxton for whatever reason. They see a lot in him and things of that nature. But Ben Johnson said something I thought was interesting, and he alluded to really depth. He says you want to find the best 5 guys, but realistically nowadays the way the game is played, it ends up being 6, 7, 8 guys that can come in and fill in on a whim, and so that left the door open for me in regards to conversations of a Tevin Jenkins and what that may look like, right? Because if you're looking at putting the best 5 out there, but making sure you also have depth to actually address any injuries and things of that nature, you want the best guys to be able to come in and fill in. Well, we all agree that Tevin Jenkins is, when available or when on the field, one of the best at his position. He's just never there. Where if he's not there in the same capacity to be relied on, it just kind of, it's more of a speculation from me, but it just let me know that, hey, that I wouldn't be surprised if a deal could be worked out if he isn't picked up anywhere else. Well, we still see his name there. And just the way that their comments, like you said, they're very well trained, very well coordinated in these things. And, so you weren't getting much out of this one. It was a lot of nothing in some respects. But I like pretty much how they alluded to that, and especially on the line. And one particular thing that Ben Johnson mentioned is he didn't hire all of his friends. That was I thought that was an interesting.
There's only one hand of guys that he had worked with before. Which that's something that I cooked Matt Eberflus for, and Ben Johnson was like, run it back. Now I think that he's picking more of the guys here in this situation, and we've heard the conversations. But I was surprised at him.
Yeah, and he not only said that, but he even went down the line of all the wealth of information. He called it a library of information, rather, that they could pull from. You look at Eric Bieniemy and that the offense they ran. You look at what DA did, and I think there was another individual you mentioned from the Sean Payton tree. There you go. His name was eluding me. But again, it kind of goes into what we said. When we first saw the hire, first saw him put the staff together, he's going to have all of these intelligent individuals, some of the most, as far as how the IQ and how they know the game. We're gonna have one of the best coaching staff in that regard, and he has so much to pull from to really get this team on track. I'm kind of excited about it, so I'm happy to hear that he not only went about it in a very methodical way, but he didn't just rely on, okay, this is my guy, let me bring him on here. No, I want to have the best people available so we can get to the next get to the right step. So I appreciate that.
Listen, I mean, I keep saying it reminds me so much of kind of why they brought in Steve Kerr in the first place, right? He was willing to just bring in all of these former head coaches and all these dudes who had done it at a high level, especially as far as development and things go. When you talk about the coaching staff, I think the point, kind of going back to it, though, the point that you bring up about Braxton is a great one because, I mean, we all got confirmation Braxton Jones is not only going to be on this team, but is going to be competing for that starting left tackle job if he is healthy. But when I heard the word competing, that means that, hey, we believe that it's a position that needs to be upgraded. We're not sitting here telling you that, those PFF numbers are perfect.
Fifth.
We're not sitting here telling you that every time you go to put fifth that they're telling you the truth. We're telling you that we think that we believe in him, that we think he is good enough, but maybe there's some competition needs to come in here. Does that give you a little bit of direction and maybe where they want to go with the draft pick here? I think that could be tough, but I mean, listen, if you're in the second round and we're seeing Gray Zabel fly up the board, but maybe he ends up landing around that second round pick there, do you take a Gray Zabel in the second round and feel good about that kind of move? Do you look to get back late into the first round and maybe try and get a Tyler Booker who's moving up some draft boards, right? Like different things like that where, and not Tyler Booker more of a guard, but different things like that to me where when you look at kind of, I think, where we all are on Braxton versus where they are on Braxton, again, very different places. Yeah, I mean, again, very different places. But at least they're open to the fact that it is going to be a competition. And they didn't ask him about Quran, but I would assume the same conversation would be there with Quran. He's probably a part of that competition. And we'll see if he's somebody who can win that job or if it's going to be somebody else that they bring in. So a lot of options there. The one thing that I do like, and again, talking about the clarity, when Ben Johnson said this, he said, we've clearly outlined what the ideal look would be in terms of attribute, height, weight, speed, in terms of makeup, which is of critical importance for what we're looking for. So the kind of player you want. But at the same time, if it's a good football player, we're going to make it work as far as a coaching staff. So there's a balance going on with that. And I think the dialogue's been very, very healthy so far. Thank you.
Thank God.
Because so often,
thank you.
But don't want to do the coaching.
Just go, does he fit the scheme or not?
Yeah.
And to me, listen, now maybe this is me a little. I'm not going to act like I'm not maybe inferring a little opinion in here. Does Myles Garrett fit Dennis Allen's scheme? Not really.
I don't care.
It don't matter.
I don't care. It's him.
You can get a good football player. You get a good football player. Right? That's where my brain went. Because Myles Garrett, realistically, right, if I'm breaking it down, height, weight, size, he doesn't really fit the scheme as well as you would like. Not the kind of guy that we're looking for in that scheme. Normally, we're looking for more of a speed edge off of the back. He's got a little bit too much muscle there. But it don't matter.
Last time I check, he gets to the quarterback quick enough. He gets to the quarterback fast enough.
I think I'm good with Myles Garrett. Hey, listen, Myles Garrett could come into this room 6 months off and overweight, and I'm still going to draft him.
Gonna come in there looking like Thor.
Hey, guess what? You're going to work it off during the season. Come on with it. Come on with it.
And I think that's the conversation, right? Myles Garrett is where my brain goes, but realistically, with any player, if you see somebody who is a game record kind of player that doesn't fit your scheme perfectly, to me, I think that it's on coaches to adjust. It's on coaches to adjust to the players that you have. And that's the one thing that did just right. And for the life of me, and we asked John Hoke, who John Hoke is a good DBs coach. I'm not going to sit here and slander Coach Hoke and say he's a bad coach. He is a good DBs coach. We've had plenty of good DBs here, right? But the conversation around you have Jalen Johnson, and there are times in a game where Jalen Johnson is not covering the best wide receiver. Makes no sense. Why do I have Jalen Johnson covering the number 3 wide receiver?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it makes it difficult for them to figure out what our coverages are.
No, it don't.
No, it don't, because I don't have to. I can motion the running back and figure out if you're in man or if you're in zone. I don't have to motion Justin Jefferson across the field to figure out if you're in man or if you're in zone. I can motion any wide receiver on the field to figure out if you're in man or if you're in zone.
Yep.
It makes no sense to not have Jalen Johnson follow a guy around. By the way, if you're good at covering in man or you're good at covering in zone, don't matter if they know it. Yes, it makes it a little bit easier, but that's where the rush and cover comes in. And I'm glad that they had that conversation as well today. But just hearing that we're just willing to go out there and get good football players that can do the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's where it starts, and it is. Remember, Mike Tomlin said it. Was that on the Pivot podcast?
It was on
where
Pivot.
he talked about often coaches run away from coaching.
Yep,
love that episode.
It was such an insightful episode into the mind of a coach. So often, coaches run away from coaching, and you can't figure out how to make this guy work for what you've done your whole life. So he's not a good player. I don't believe that. You got to adjust what you do to make sure that he looks the best in this scheme. And I think that's where I really like some of the things that Dennis Allen's going to bring to this team. I really like some of the things that Ben Johnson's going to bring.
That's actually one of the reasons why I think they are a little bit more high on Braxton Jones being more important than maybe we think we are. Even I told you, we've said it before, we feel like he's reached his ceiling. Maybe there's still something there because, again, they're committing to actual real coaching with experience and guys in the building that know what they're doing. When you talk about Dan Richard, we broke down his resume. I mean, he's experienced. He's been very good. He's done it at different levels very well. And so that was an extremely good get. So when you pair him with the Quran, when you pair him with the Braxton Jones, maybe there's something else that they can tap into. Maybe he allows him to get some tree trunks, in the lower body. Maybe there's some sort of, whatever that he can get out of him that will allow him to be an even better left tackle, an even better player for the Bears. And we're not just easily giving up. I do believe in competition. Obviously, I still think that we need to upgrade at that level, but there still is something to be said about coaching and why it's so important. And which is why, again, no matter the scheme, if you get a good football player, really at the end of the day, it's just about playing football. Get a good football player, put him on the team, and watch him go to work. That's what really matters to me.
And to your point, the one thing that he mentioned, and he even outlined it, specifically with Caleb, them going through what they're going to do in regards to Caleb, tearing it down to the studs, going through motions, going through all these different things to help him really make a leap. And he said, we're going to do that with every position group. And so by doing that with every group, some of these people have been playing football. They've been pros for a long time. But to have someone come in and say, hey, we're taking this all the way down. We're starting from the bare bones basics. It's, again, that's running to the coaching. Let's see what we actually have. Let's build that up. I want to get your thoughts on this one. It kind of goes into the clarity that you kind of mentioned in regards to who they want. Ben Johnson being specifically asked in so many ways about how they would kind of look at building out the roster, whether going offense or defense in so many ways. Paraphrasing that question. I thought his answer was spot on. Realistically, he said, we want stars all over. We want the best all over the field, not just one instance. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on what that meant to hear that to you all. Like, what did you get from that realistically, knowing that you had a coach who, again, offense is his thing. Offense is his claim to fame, but he's very conscious of the fact that DA needs the right people to get his thing off. Like, everyone else needs the right people to make this work. And they probably, go hand in hand and try to prioritize that. Did you all feel more open to that, or would you rather like, hey, no, let's prioritize this offensive line first and you get defensive line later, like most of the people in the chat would probably say?
I think it goes back to kind of, listen, you're going to have to go through free agency before you go through the draft, right? You're going to have to go through acquiring these pieces before you go through before you get into the part where you can draft the cheap pieces. And I think the conversation is, are you going to go out and get the best players that are available to you right now? Who are the best free agents that are available to you right now? We talked about it, right? There are 2 of the top 30. I think they ranked them both inside the top 30 free agents that are, ESPN did, that are slated to possibly come to the Chicago Bears in Trey Smith and Drew Dahlman. How many times in the chat have we seen people say that well, if in this situation, that's great. But what if I tell you about Mekhi Becton? What if I tell you about Ryan Kelly, right? If we have an offseason where we come out of it with Mekhi Becton and Ryan Kelly, we're going to go, that's solid names. I'm not mad at that. You probably need to draft some pieces just in case, but solid names. But we know you didn't go out and get the best names. I think when you hear a conversation like that, it's finding the best pieces that you can find for both sides of the football. Finding the best pieces that you can find on the offensive and on the defensive side. And I think the same thing for Dennis Allen. A lot of those questions were directed around, the defensive line and not having somebody opposite Montez Sweat. What are you going to do to get somebody opposite Montez Sweat? Who's the best guy that is available? There are names out there in there's a ton of names out there in free agency as far as edge rushers, right? But is that name somebody that you may be able to trade for, right? Like, to me, I think that that's a conversation more on not having a ceiling on where you think you should reach, and almost operating like we've been begging this team to operate, like you're the second city, like you are a big market team, like you are one of the biggest teams in the NFL. I mean, like those are the conversations we've been having about the Bears forever. You got to operate like you are. Over 200 in the show. 200.
Let's go.
But no, I think it sounds like, again, they're continuing to talk about, and you got to put it into action, but you're at least talking about how you want to go about turning the mindset of this franchise into something that's brand new.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest thing when it comes to the whole, do we get aggressive and do we get, stars all over the place? One of the things, obviously, I'm all for that, right? I would love to get all the premier names in free agency. I would love to get an Ashton Jeanty at 10.
Yeah, I would love to get you bastard.
I got a running back question coming up. I got to double down on it.
But now, one of the things Ben Johnson did say,
what's Jordan gonna look like?
One of the things Ben Johnson actually mentioned when he was asked about, do you get aggressive? What is that? What matters is having stars at all different levels on your team on offense and defense. And he obviously agreed with that, but he also mentioned how complementary football wins you the game. And that really, again, it's all about all 11 players playing as one and making sure you're playing cohesive, complementary football. So even if you have a star on the team or if you don't, each individual has their own job to do. And so, again, that goes back to the development. That goes back to the coaching. That's going to be leaning heavily on them to make sure everybody's on the same page, whether or not they're the most talented, whether or not, they're recording 18 sacks a season or not. Yes, of course, we want the big names to come in here to make things look easier, to look more fun, look more explosive. That's what we want. But at the end of the day, it's still about a team game and all 11 being on the same page on offense and defense.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's the big thing. And I think that's the part to me where, again, we talked about it, right, where coaching does come into play. That's the part to me where you can have all of these pieces. We've seen teams that had stars. Remember, what was it, 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Jacksonville got all these pieces for Trevor Lawrence?
Defense,
and we were going into the season and we were like, Jacksonville might be nice. Is Trevor going to finally take that leap and just leave Justin in the dust? Oh, here we go. And then we got to the end of that season. We were like, this dude kind of sucks.
Coaching matters, huh?
They gave him all the pieces in the world. And I think that's the thing, right? I can give you all the pieces in the world. Do you know? I can give you every bit of the puzzle. If you don't know how to put the puzzle together, then the pieces don't matter. And then you're just trying to force pieces to fit in certain places. Now you don't have a picture of a horse. You got a picture of a half a horse and just colors popping around. You know what I mean? You don't have the full picture. And I think that's kind of what we saw last season, right? Let's be real. And I've said this a couple of times. With a couple of these, you'd win
a few more
games.
Yeah.
With a couple logical moments here, we could be talking about Matt Eberflus still being the head coach.
Oh boy, don't do that.
But his brain showed that through the beard, and there were times where he just didn't play smart football. The hope is that Ben Johnson, at a minimum, plays smart football. We get into the complicated moments of this. We get into the deep woods with football and everything that goes into it, right? But at the end of the day, if you're just smart about your job, Mike Tomlin is a smart coach.
Absolutely.
And that is why he doesn't lose. That is why so often than not, you see Mike Tomlin be in the win column, above 500, in the playoffs in the first round. He ain't got the greatest talent. There are times where he does have the greatest talent, he still falls short. But like most of these seasons, we're talking about him with a Mason Rudolph trying to get the job done.
Oh boy, Mason.
You know what I mean? Yeah, watch your head.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Kenny throw a Pickett. You know what I mean? More times than not, we're talking about where did Kenny Pickett end up? Wait a minute.
Seattle.
He's on the Kenny Pickett got a ring.
He got a ring. I just realized that. He showed he got a ring.
Just made that.
He took a snap.
Kenny, he did take a snap. He took a snap at the end of the game.
Yeah,
that was
he messed up a lot of parlays.
Bro, he messed up the sports book so bad. Mr. Inglewood 77 here with the $5 super chat. Say honoring Black History Month. Pat the designer, first light bright brother to make his beard connect. What? Harry Belafonte, the only brother to come.
Harry Belafonte. What?
Kid ain't too much darker than me, first off. No. Kid got a great beard.
I was about to say his beard definitely connects. Now mine's doesn't. I ain't there yet.
Hey, the name Harry Belafonte, that was taking it back, bro.
He took it back with that one. He took it back with Harry Belafonte, bro.
Yeah, Harry Belafonte was some years, bro.
That was a wild take there.
Wow.
Let me ask you all this. If it kind of goes into it ties into what some of the things that they said, so I'll let you all expound on it. But I was listening to Captain Jay Hood this morning, as well as caught in some episode of my man Pat over there. You know, he got another channel with ESPN. You know, he don't plug it too much, but you know, he was doing
Chicago Bears podcast. I plug it almost every day. I'm not gonna lie. I don't humble plug. I don't humble plug. I got a show on ESPN. Tap in Chicago Bears podcast. Today's episode is pure hilarity. If you tap in, we talked no football. We talk no football. They are doing a contest at ESPN where, because whoever picked the most playoff teams and stuff like that, if you won the contest, you didn't have to do basically a certain punishment. The punishment ended up being they have to stay at the station for 24 hours, but for every hot dog you eat, you can knock an hour off. So I mean, these mugs are like 8 dogs in, bro.
Gladiators over there?
They glizzy gladiating in that building. I'm talking about they are. Hey, bro, watch.
Who's double fisting the dogs over there, dog?
Yurko knocked down 4 dogs in like 7 minutes, and you could see it was killing him on the show.
Come on, man.
He was struggling. Anyway, so tap into the Chicago Bears podcast.
I just would have brought a cot or something. I'm not gonna sit there just trying to choke my dogs.
After the 4, he literally was like, I wonder how many I got to eat to get out of here by 7 a.m. tomorrow. And it was like, oh, this mug is like thinking about staying overnight. He's done. He's tapped.
But
anyway, what was you gonna say?
Oh boy,
there was some comments about Ben Johnson wanting more speed on this line, and they kind of hinted towards that. I mean, obviously there was some comments brought up about DeAndre Swift, and you can kind of read between the lines of what he thought. He didn't seem like he definitely wanted him, but he just said happy to see him again. Realistically,
hey bro, listen,
he is not keeping him,
bro. We can stop pretending that he wants him. We can stop pretending that he's acting like he wants him. He literally traded this man away. He don't want him.
But what do you all feel about those comments about him wanting more speed in the receiver room? And that's why, you know, what Randall was hoping to do, because realistically, Keenan wasn't a speedster. They said that DeAndre, you know, I'm trying to say Moore, DJ Moore. I said DeAndre. DJ Moore is more of a gadget guy. You know, things of that nature. So we needed a speedster, which kind of fits what he had in Detroit a little bit. What do you all feel, especially as how that parlays into some of the comments he made on roster fit and things of that nature?
Here's my thing, and I'll ask y'all this: where are you drafting this wide receiver? Because you're
Later
not
rounds.
signing nobody.
Later
You're not
rounds.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about receiver until the 4th or the 5th.
Okay. Develop Tyler Scott.
That's
what
right
you
there.
brought in Antoine Randall for.
Yep.
Develop Tyler Scott. And the only reason I say that is because, not to say you can't find good talent. Like, by the way, still draft one in the 4th round. Right? You can still do it. But
who was available?
Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah Bond might be down there. I ain't gonna lie to you. Who is
really? You think you're gonna fall that far?
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. Maybe
Isaiah Bond probably be late 3rd. But the thing for me with adding speed to this team, number one, is Crimson Facts. Roman Dunze fast as heck. Let him run. Let him lose. He fastened him up. Number 2, now he doesn't have 4.3 speed. Tyler Scott has 4.3 speed.
Legit.
He's already in the league and he's already under contract. If the worst case scenario is 2 years down the road, you find a way, that's why you bring in an Antoine Randall, right? The worst case scenario is 2 years down the road, you may have to pay Tyler Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means we developed a good wide receiver to pay Tyler Scott.
Do that.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like I think that there are guys on this roster and we just haven't seen them do anything, so we don't pay attention to them anymore. Ryan Poles is going all about getting speed on this roster. He's everything, like every receiver that he has signed, brought in, we looked at him and been like, look at this guy. He's got a 4.240. He's down the field, downhill threat, phenomenal game. Love the way he goes up to get the ball. Like we do all this stuff, but at the base of it, we all go speed. Develop one of them. Now you can still draft and develop a guy, which I'm fine with. But I think, again, when you're talking about getting the most out of coaching, how many players in here do you have that just weren't utilized? You know what I mean? That's really the question. And even Breon Gibson here with the comment, just can't catch. We didn't really see that last year because they put him on the field.
Right. He barely had a chance to.
How many passes he get thrown? I couldn't tell you how many passes.
I had no idea.
He had thrown to him. Leroy Pinkston said, what's good? I'm assuming what's good, guys. It's my birthday and wedding anniversary. Just want to say thanks for the content and bear down, my guy. First off, Leroy he left the barbershop and hit one of these immediately.
Man, hey, that's where I'm trying to
get. He was like
cut right there.
Hey, that man was like, hey, baby, I'm about to kill him. I'm about to kill him with this.
Shout out, Leroy, man.
Hey, Leroy, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, man. I got
to you, man.
To do a pod with Leroy. He's the people.
Hey, shout out to Leroy. But no, man, like I think that's my thing with all of it, right? Like you've got these guys on. Oh, that's why I want to see what did Tyler Scott actually do? Like I actually want to look now. Tyler Scott probably don't have 80 yards on the season last year. What did he get?
One reception.
One reception for 5 yards the entire season. And guess what? One target. He caught it.
That's malpractice.
He caught it.
It's malpractice. You got to use that man. Develop him. You got guys on your team.
Now look, maybe he can't catch. I'm not saying that he can. I'm not saying he can. Right?
He needs more opportunities.
Hey, the last opportunity I saw him get in a big moment, he dropped it. Actually, he just didn't keep running. But like,
to say he only got one target too, though.
He got one target, one reception.
One target, one reception. He ain't dropped nothing at this point.
Did he? Was that a fumble? Was that a fumble that he caught? He did have a big hit. He was on special teams and came down and laid somebody out. I want to say it was in that Washington game. And Gucci Finesse, fact, he was cooking.
He was killing it in training camp.
I was watching him. I was like, oh, Tyler Scott might have a season this year.
Yeah.
Tyler Scott might have something to say about, this little wide receiver room and getting himself involved in it. He did not. He didn't.
No, he didn't.
So that's my only point with all of this. I'm fine with you adding speed to the roster, but let's not pretend that there's not speed on the roster.
Yeah.
Can you develop and figure out what some of these guys are, or are they all nothing? Which, if they are, cut them. Don't have wasted roster spots. That's what I want to see out of Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles this year. That's what it feels like this offseason actually is going to be. When you start off, listen, I'll tell you this. We may not love DeMarcus Walker. DeMarcus Walker was impactful.
He was.
He made plays.
One game. Yeah.
I'm not sitting here telling you he's a great edge rusher, but he made plays. And they walked into that boy phase and was like, hey, brother, take the chain with you.
Good
and walked out the room.
Chain with you. Hilarious.
I will miss him, man. He was so funny, bro.
Chain sees chain.
Chain sees chain, man. Chain recognize chain. But I'm gonna miss him, bro. He was so funny at training camp. But even Gerald Everett, we all can sit here and clearly say Gerald Everett is a better tight end than what the Bears used him at.
He was so underused. Oh my God, I hate that.
Yep,
I hate that.
And you know what? If we can see that, they probably can see that. And they walked into that man's face and was like, hey, brother, take them 32 catches with you.
We need your money.
It's clear. You know, the funny thing is, it's clear that Ben Johnson has a type when it comes to, you know, certain position groups and stuff like that. With tight end, he wants that Laporta type guy, and Cole Kmet can be that. Hopefully he's that. I think he has the opportunity. We don't really know. But one thing we do know,
I know.
Is like when it comes to a young.
I've seen enough of Cole. I'm sorry. I tried to think about it for a second. Maybe it's just me.
No,
maybe I'm just
know.
out.
I don't think we do.
Sam Laporta.
Here's the thing. I don't think we do because as opposed to any other sport, coaching matters so much here. Like coaching matters so much, bro. Hey, it was funny as heck.
No, I know.
It was funny as heck. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm just saying, like, man,
I know.
If you want to compare him to anybody, I mean, the man has way more speed than Cole Kmet. He ain't always looking to run into somebody to get a tackle. Like Sam Laporta was a better rookie season than anything Cole Kmet ever did.
Oh, for sure. But I would say that Laporta was in a better situation.
Bro, that's true. I give you that.
So well done.
Right? It was good.
It was the pause of him trying to let you finish your point, and then him just going, nah, I know.
Sorry, I tried to hold it in, bro. I was like, I don't know about that. I'll take Laporta in a heartbeat.
No, of course I would. But here's the thing: like, there's not a want. You need a good tight end for a young quarterback. It's essential. You cannot, go into this season without one. And you got Cole Kmet already on the roster. I mean, obviously, we ain't got no Travis Kelce's walking through the door. And at this point, would you even want him at his age? So, So, like, you need that. How much better is he going to look with real coaching? That's the only thing. Like, honestly, and I hate to stir the pot, but even if I look at this, like, what would Justin look like with real coaching? Because
you go.
You know I had to. Like, what would any of these guys look like with real coaching?
Hold on. Justin had real coaching last year.
No, Justin got
real coaching. You know what I mean? Let's calm down. All right, what did Justin look like with real coaching? 4-2. Justin Fields.
4-2. So and we're gonna put him to the side.
Still took him out.
But still, like, I just look at all of that. Like, we have a real staff here. And the one thing I will say is Ben Johnson gave a slight shout out to the Panthers, believe it or not. He talked about their
I heard it.
Yeah, I heard it, right?
Well, I heard it.
He said that second half, that O-line started to cook. And they did start. I mean, obviously he didn't say cook, but still, like, they started to gel, and you start seeing the production. Like, realistically, that just made me think better coaching, people put in the right position, the right talent. A team as trash as the Panthers looked better in the second half. Bryce Young looked like an actual quarterback. Man, can you imagine what happens now that we actually have competent people all the way around? What do these guys really look like? I'm getting excited about that aspect, the potential of the team from that aspect, because we have people who really care about development. It's just big to me. That's all.
I think that's the biggest thing is, that development gets you excited. It's like people are buying in to what they're supposed to be doing. When you hear people like Shane Waldron not even doing the bare minimum of getting with your quarterback to go over, plays and schemes for week to week preparation. Yeah. It's like, okay, can we upgrade from that at least? What we always talk about with the centers. Can I get a center to at least do what? Two things.
Snap and block.
Snap and block. Can I get a coach to at least coach? and develop. Like that's your title. So I know I'm with you. And going back to your point real quick about the whole speed and how I think Ben Johnson looks at things. I go back to the team and how complimentary they were, even giving credit to Detroit when you look at the running back, the David Montgomery versus Jahmyr Gibbs comparison, speed versus power. I think that's kind of like how he wants his team to look. If I'm going out on the ledge and taking a guess, is he wants that speed guy, the Jameson Williams, the Jahmyr Gibbs type, but then the big body or the guy that can get the hard yardage, the Amon-Ra's, the David Montgomerys. Like, I think that's the complementary type of players that he wants on his team, if I'm going to take a guess. And so, yeah, I do believe that he definitely is attracted to a certain level of speed. And you see it throughout the league. Like, Kansas City always re-up somehow. And even when they were in their prime, you had Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman. Yeah. You had speed all over the place. You had speed at running back. And so, they re-upped with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice and all these other guys. Like, that's probably the name of the game, is trying to find that balance between, speed and power.
Yeah. Listen, there's going to be a lot of additions made here. And as far as speed goes, I think it's something that they're going to try to find in the later rounds. But we do got to talk about some speed that they have been at least rumored to be wanting to have a conversation with. If you have not done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Got over 200 in the chat, but only 48 likes on the video. Technically, we got over 300 in the chat. 300. 227 on the YouTube side, man. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. 107 over on the Twitter side. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Troy, I don't know why this made me laugh when I saw his comment pop up. It's Troy the Great James said, Don Burr in the chat? I've been looking for him.
Troy, what all the smoke?
I saw that comment. It instantly made me want to laugh. Don Burr in the chat. Oh, I've been looking for him, bro. You want to know what? Oh, bro. See, I wasn't in the Bears. I don't think Don was in the Bears press conferences today. Did y'all see Don?
I didn't see him in the.
I didn't.
Did anybody see Don when the Bears was live talking?
I don't know. Is he all right?
Y'all know Don lives in them chats.
We got to check up on him.
Oh, Don. No, Don just does.
I saw Ben's. I didn't see. I don't know if he's imposed.
Hey, Don spent all season talking about why. Not Stephon the Don Burr. We know where that Don is. Don spent all season telling us Ben Johnson wasn't coming here. Then not only did he lose Ben Johnson, he lost Antoine Randall.
Everybody. Everybody.
Here's Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
He'll take the house next.
This next conversation, though, just for Amstel 54, because it seems like there's a little rumor action happening here. Now, Harrison Graham is the first person I saw this from. I don't know if there was somebody bigger than him that had reported it. I also saw it from Ben Devine as well. But it seems that there is some interest in the Chicago Bears in one Ashton Jeanty. Now, the conversation around that is I don't know if you bastard with the sunglasses here. Sick of it already. Ashton Jeanty is a name that has been rumored to the Chicago Bears for a little while here. And if the Bears are looking to bring in a running back, I think the conversation around him
is, can't even get it out.
I think the conversation around him
can't even get it out.
Is only worth having the conversation if you do a lot of what it sounds like the Bears want to do here.
You had a stroke with that, didn't you?
In free agency. Man,
you
whatever.
Hey, I ain't never seen you struggle with a segment more than that. You was like, I gotta find something nice. Gotta find something nice.
No, it's not even finding something nice. It's just, there's so much to me that has to happen for it to even make sense.
I'll agree with
draft
that.
Ashton Jeanty. You want to know why? Because and here's really, and I don't know if you guys checked out the ESPN article I sent the other day, but they said there's one position that if you, unless you're not trying to get one, that you will find in this draft, and that is the running back position. When I hear things like that, Ashton Jeanty's name should not come up. Now, I have also heard from some area scouts out there that when you're talking about blue chip players, he is one of those.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
There's not many in this draft.
Yeah.
How this draft has been described in that article, it talked about it from a couple of scouts as well. I think it was an AFC East scout. This is a meat and potatoes draft.
It's a very
and this is a great draft to have 3 picks in the top 40 picks or 45 picks, right? There's a great draft to have 10, 39, 41, because you're going to get a lot of players that are going to be starters for you and are going to be the glue guys for you. But even in that scenario, when I hear that, if you're telling me that the difference between Ashton Jeanty without an offensive line or Cam Scatterbu with one, because you're able to develop more pieces, is a couple 100 yards, give me Scatterbu.
Well,
give me Omarion Hampton. Give me, right? Because I get it. We're Chicago. We want this piece. Now, Omarion Hampton actually maybe going a little high for me as well. But we want this. We want the defense in the run. We can't help ourselves. Look at us. We sat here all offseason saying, you want to know how they can't run? The trenches, and a running back was available. And we were like, oh God, we got to get him.
Whoa. Now, there's a hold on. No. There was a caveat to it. It's if we had a good free agency, then this would be palatable.
Hey,
that was the caveat. That was
good. It's if you have a great free agency. It's if you have an all-time Chicago Bears free agency.
Well,
maybe I won't flip a table if you
I
take
ain't gonna lie. We would have to sign like 3 or 4 good.
You got to sign Drew Dolman. You got to sign Trey Smith. I need you to get Josh Sweat on the other end, who I think is not that much of a higher than Montez Sweat, but that's my personal opinion. You got to get all of that, and then I might be okay with it.
With the increase of the cap, the creative, finagling we've done with cap space, letting some people go, we could have a great free agency. We could have
about 80 million in the kitty right now.
Maybe not all time. I don't know about all that, because then again, my knowledge on the Bears don't go back as far as yours. I don't know what they did in the 90s and 80s as far as free agency. So you put me on game there.
Well, the 90s wasn't good.
Well, so here we go. So at this point, like, you could, if we sign 2 people on the offensive line, and you need a running back for Ben Johnson's system to really work, because he absolutely needs it. You get the best running back available. Now listen, I'm not a get a running back at 10 guy, but I am a guy that's like based off of, and Ben Johnson is he's a computer science and math major. So like he does the probability and everything like that.
Yeah.
The statistics would tell you I probably need to get that running back. I don't agree with it emotionally, but logically, if we have a good to great free agency, it would make sense. It would make sense.
It might make sense. Or we haven't done an or in a minute.
Or
if we address everything that we're supposed to on both sides of the trenches in free agency, do you trade that 10 back? We talked about Omarion Hampton probably being a second running back going in the first round. You trade 10 all the way to maybe 18, 19, 20 range where he might be talked about going. You get him, but you also pick up another second or third round pick for this.
You want to know why I'm not going to do that? If I could, because I know Pat about to cook on this one. Hey, dog, if you do that and the running back you get is trash and Jeanty is a star, you still go come out of here like
Hampton in any other draft would be number one.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem with all of this.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? That is true. No, I think that's the problem with all this, right? If you trade back, you can still get a ridiculously good running back in Omarion Hampton. right? Like that's where if you take Jeanty better be one of the greatest running backs we've ever seen in our time at 10. Because at 10, a lot of times, and I think that this is a conversation that people don't think about as much. This is a very similar draft to that 2015 or 16 draft, whichever one it was. Remember who was taken 4th overall, I believe, in that draft? Was Ezekiel Elliott.
15?
I think 15 or 16, one of them. Ezekiel Elliott taken 4th overall. Right? How was year 5 of Ezekiel Elliott?
He had his high and then he just kind of fell off.
It must be 14. It must be 14.
Like those are the things. Those are the things for me where I look at those moments where somebody might come out smoking. They might be hot. They might be great. They might be amazing. Oh my God, look at Ezekiel Elliott. He's dominant for 4 years. He was great. And you paid him money. And you gotta pay him money because he's the 4th overall pick. Mm-hmm. You can't not pay him money because he got to be a long-term piece. 2 years into the money, you trying to figure out how to cut the money. Ooh. That to me is why in that scenario, I could stomach it more because I'm probably getting something else. Again, how this draft is being talked about, right? Later on in the draft, you can still get in that 30 to 60 range some great pieces for your team, some real meat and potatoes pieces. If you're telling me I'm getting a Gray Zabel in the 2nd, or I'm finding a way to get a Tyler Booker at guard, and I'm adding on to the defensive line as well, maybe with the Dominic, what was his name, Donovan Ezeriku.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm adding these pieces. Like I can stomach that more than if you just rolling with Jeanty at 10. Like those are the things for me that I'm just like, come on, dog. What are we doing?
My only pushback to that, Pat, is you gave a window of 4 years, 4 or 5 years realistically is what you gave, and you use Ezekiel Elliott. Now, the team didn't capitalize off that one, but you couldn't say Ezekiel Elliott didn't perform. He made a name for himself. He was definitely impactful. He was a fixture of that particular offense. Right now, you're talking about turning a franchise around. In most NFL teams, they only have realistically a 3 to 4 year window unless they retool, which is typically what we see KC has done. They've kind of retooled. The Patriots did it 3 times, things of that nature. But most teams only get 1 or 2 cracks at it. You have a window. You look at the Eagles. They're at the end of that window. Like people were saying, if they don't win this time, they may not be able to keep everybody and things of that nature, because that's typically what happens. Yeah. If I could get 4 or 5 years from this decision, from making this particular decision, and we are a high-powered offense and things are clicking, I'll take that bet. That's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, but that
changes
great.
My franchise with my franchise quarterback.
But see, that's
I take that risk.
That sounds great. Except you let somebody who's a 10-year starter go by. That sounds great when you let. Well, I mean, listen, it's all maybe. Jeanty could blow his knee out the first year and he could be nothing. Like every bit of it is maybe. You know what I mean? But like the likelihood that a running back is going to be a 10+ year player in the modern NBA is not very likely at all. Saquon Barkley, we talk about him, right? Oh my God, he's at the height of his career and he's dominating. He's won a Super Bowl ring and this is great. And he may end up having longevity because of the trucks that he got moving snow in front of him, right? But outside of that, like Ezekiel Elliott is what, 2 years before?
Ezekiel Elliott is 2016.
2016. Saquon's 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who does he play for?
Ooh, that's another good name out there.
Ezekiel's back on the Cowboys, ain't he?
Yeah.
How much he do this year? By the way, they got rid of him. He went somewhere else, was horrible, came back. I think I look at it like that, right? Like when you for all the people that went after Ezekiel, because there was some really good players in that 16 draft. Ronnie Staley. How much you think they would want to have a Ronnie Staley right now? Overdrafting Ezekiel Elliott at 4. There's Pro Bowl level, all pro caliber players in that draft that go after him, but you were so enamored with him. Like that to me is the part that and I know because it's the Dallas Cowboys, we don't look back on it, but those are the reasons why you look at the Dallas Cowboys and go, oh yeah, no wonder you in this position.
I mean, if you really look at it, like, Detroit Lions chose Gibbs, right? Look at all the injuries they had and stuff like that. You can always say, well, if you drafted someone else, you wouldn't have had this issue, things of that nature. But Gibbs and Monty totally changed that offense, and they were a huge part of what made that offense what it is.
Very dynamic.
So it goes hand in hand. Like realistically, you just kind of roll the dice with that. Yeah, certain position groups you do have more longevity, and that is the trade-off. But that position group doesn't impact the game like this one does, realistically. And so it's the give and take of it all. You need that running back.
That's a great conversation to have on it, right? You got Jahmyr Gibbs, and while Jahmyr Gibbs with Ben Johnson, you accomplished a couple of nice winning seasons. You didn't win a championship. Realistically speaking, in 5-6 years, is Jahmyr Gibbs on that team? We'll see. But is he a big part of that team? Is he the same level of contributor to that team? Meanwhile, Jalen Carter's over there wrecking lives. That's
Jalen Carter's also wrecking lives.
I didn't mean it like that.
Oh,
I didn't mean it like that. Jalen Carter's over there wreaking havoc on the football field.
Yeah.
And he's not slowing down.
Yeah, but look at who he has around him, though. Like, that's a squad.
Jalen Carter, Aiden Hutchinson. I would hate to see that coming at me. You could have had literally and you still had a really good defensive line. You could have had one of the best defensive lines of football. We could have been talking about you. And so I get it, right? Like if you come out of that draft with because they came out of that draft with Laporta and Jeanty, or I'm sorry, Laporta and Gibbs essentially for the Jalen Carter trade, right?
Yeah.
But if I got Jalen Carter, Aiden Hutchinson, I'm not spending half the year talking about how Aiden Hutchinson has to be the only dude that can get near the quarterback. I'm talking about how I've got this game record duo that's probably going to be here for the next 10 years. Now we'll see what Aiden Hutchinson comes back, injury and all that plays into it. That is the NFL. But I just think for me, like, if I'm the Bears and I see, yes, we're having fun, right? It's choosing fun over foundation.
Good point.
That's what it is for the Bears. That is foundation, though.
Yeah.
For Ben's system, this running back is foundation.
But there's going to be a whole different system.
But it's been.
Well, I think it's foundation when you have the offensive line in check. I mean, Detroit still had one of the better offensive lines. That still was addressed first. So the running backs, of course, looked good.
Well, listen, and that's the other thing too. Like I keep seeing that everybody
addresses the line.
The one thing that I will say that does scare me is Ian Cunningham, who was stuck around, was asked about, do you think that you can draft a running back in the first round and be okay with it? And he was like, yeah. Like, oh, okay, all right. Okay, I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of that's the tough conversation with all of it, right? Like it is the philosophy of what your GM does. I can believe what I believe, and I think that the NFL has proven me right more times than not with the running back position. But Ian Cunningham may be sitting there in Ryan Poles' ear and be like, go get Jeanty.
So Ben Johnson might be doing the same thing.
Go get Jeanty.
Hey, Ben might be doing the same thing.
Might have two dudes whispering in his ear, go get Jeanty.
Collectively, I think this was the season that the running backs fall back, and the Eagles don't get this far without Saquon. Saquon being the threat that he was changed KC's entire focus on defense.
With the line.
They spent so much time making sure he didn't get off that Jalen looked good. And I'm not a big Jalen fan, but he had the opportunity to try to pick them apart because they were so focused on he's not going to beat us.
Here's my problem with that, though, and we got to get up out of here. But my problem with that is we talk about Jalen like Jalen didn't lead this team to a Super Bowl.
Well, he did.
Yeah, he ran himself there. He did.
He didn't have that many rushing yards that year.
It was those critical moments where he picked up first downs with the feet.
You just didn't like him.
I don't
That's all it was.
I don't like him. I don't.
You just didn't like it. That's all that was.
Hey, I hope the Green Bay gets their wish and the tush push is banned.
Hey, that's whack.
Hey, that's so weak to me.
That's
bro.
right up there with the Devin Hester mess when you had to take away the.
How's it weak? Defense can't do it.
They didn't do that. They didn't. Nobody. I hate when Bears fans. They didn't do it because of Devin Hester. They did it because they was getting sued.
Defense can't do it. Watch it offense be able to do it.
Hey man, get about it, man. I ain't talking about it. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page.
Talking about running backs, he should have cut the show an hour ago.
Yeah, I was gonna stop at 40 minutes ago. George JC.
Yo.
Pettis Metal Alignment Speak here. It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there in Chicago. Bed down, one love, and Ashton Jeanty, you come anywhere near my draft room, buddy. There you go.
That's all right. I got a steak for you, Ashton, when you come to Chicago.
Hey, say that again. I didn't hear what you just said. What did you say?
Said I got a steak for him when he comes to Chicago.
Okay, all right. Listen, when you said it fast, it didn't sound like that at all. I want you to understand that. This is what to make sure you cleared that up for this stream. That's okay. All right, I appreciate you, my boy.
And that is facts. They trying to ban the tush push like everybody can do it. It is the fact that Saquon and Jalen can both squat 500 plus pounds.
Hey, well,
like I still have to push 1,000 pounds of muscle on the other side of the thing.
You don't like it, stop it.
Hey, defense can't do it. Offense can't do it. Defense gets penalized for that.
Do better.
Oh, whatever.